Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, add one more thing that is not coming up Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker missing the cut for All-Star, plus more trade news and some chatter about one Oso Ighodaro. Next.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. I'm Brendon Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen to round out your week. Happy Friday. It is a game day Friday. Don't forget Locked On Suns, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button. Do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Joining me, as always, from the Wild West Valley, my fellow Suns credentialed media member. How are we feeling on this Friday, Ben Garcia?
It has been the longest, quickest week of my life. I've been so busy, but that's just how life is. I'm good. That Suns game was late last night, though, man. After this, I am jumping right in bed.
I feel you. We got another one tomorrow, 8 o'clock, but it is a road game, so not quite the same schedule for us, but we will get you ready for that game by way of breaking down the latest here in the Valley. Oso Ighodaro, the G League appears to be on the itinerary for him, should it be. Suns talking with Atlanta, maybe other teams, on Jusuf Nurkic. But first, let's start with Devin Booker missing the All-Star cut. Ben, I will read you the Western Conference reserves. We know that Kevin Durant made the cut as a starter. That already was established. We didn't really talk about it because it was expected. He was high up on the fan vote as per usual, and he has earned that. But the reserves were announced today. That list, there are 2 guards, 3 front court, 2 wild cards, okay? The guards, Anthony Edwards, James Harden. Front court, AD, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Victor Wembanyama. Wild cards, Alperen Şengün and Jalen Williams. When you saw that flash before your timeline, Ben, what was your immediate reaction? That book was not one of those 7 names that was listed.
Immediate reaction, it was, oh man, this is weird. This is weird. And I think Booker officially lost his grandfathered in spot, and every year from now on for the rest of his career, I think he's going to have to fight for it. What I would ask you is, do you think there was someone on there that shouldn't have been in place for Devin Booker? I think that is the more important question.
Yeah, well, of course it is. I will tell you my answer to that question, and I want to hear yours. It is interesting, and I think we should probably just establish, right? So the starters is decided by a combination of fan, which I mentioned with KD, as well as media, and I believe players, right? That is, and it's like a pie. Half is the fan, a quarter is the players, a quarter is the media, I believe.
And then the reserve is coaches.
Exactly.
Just making
so
sure.
You're talking about a lot fewer votes, but also a very specific kind of vote. So I think that's kind of interesting too, and that was where my head went immediately, which is when you look at what Book did during the Olympics, if you ever go to an opposing coaches press conference at Footprint Center before a game, like you and I are able to do, you'll hear people sing Book's praises all the time. He is a hooper. He is a basketball dude. Coaches, players, he's been well respected since basically the first time he started getting minutes under Jeff Hornacek a million years ago, right? That is what this guy is. And so for the coaches to not put him in, that interested me. And I want to throw one question at you before we talk about maybe who he could have finished ahead of, which is, do you think that says more about how people are viewing Booker and the season that he's having, or more about how people view the Suns and their situation as a team?
I think a little bit of both, but if I'm going towards which one is more of, I think it's the Suns season and how bad it has gone off the rails. People will point to the last, I think it's like 12 games where Booker has played like more or less exceptional. The results don't take on. I'm sure if you would have told me that the All-Star reserves were actually decided the like 10 games before this, it wouldn't have shocked me. These have been decided, if I'm not mistaken, for a while.
I'm sure they were probably due like at least like last Friday or something.
Okay, so there you
probably
go.
Doesn't take too long to compile. I don't know the date, but you're right. It wasn't yesterday.
No, exactly. And so some of those really good games from Booker go from 10 to 8, maybe even 7. And that wasn't enough to put him in from what was a slow start to the season. Kevin Durant, we never worried about. He was always going to get in. He was always going to start. The thing is as well with Booker that if he, like let's say Harden pulls a hammy, I don't know that Booker's the next guy up either. So,
well, that's the interesting thing to piggyback off of the other point you made, which is that he had kind of lost his shoe-in status or whatever you might want to say.
That sucks, but yeah.
Did he have it? Did he have
it?
Because 2 years ago he missed it because of injury. He hadn't really played enough. He only ended up finishing with 53 games. That was the year that just got shredded by injuries, and that was the year they traded for KD. The 2 years before that, he, of course, did make it, the finals year and the 64-win season. But the first All-Star appearance that Booker had, people might forget, that was an injury replacement. He replaced Lillard, and Dame, if people remember, went out of his way to say it should be Book, right? So that means that out of, let's say, 6 seasons now since the Suns started winning, Book only actually made the team for real 3 times. 3 out of 6. So I'm not sure if he had it. I think that this is sort of a sign to me that it's just the Western Conference. Like, it is just that hard to make it, and I think that kind of gets us to where maybe he should have slotted in. You mentioned James Harden. That is a team that is above the Suns in the standings, and he is their best player. That's a tough one to really grovel with here.
Wait a second. Don't skim over that. I think that's a great point that you would set. Harden is first off has been the best player for their team, like because Kawhi wasn't there. Harden's numbers, efficiency wise, and everything else is pretty close to Booker. It's not like astronomical difference. Booker is a little bit more efficient in some ways, but Ty goes to the team with the better record. And I don't really like some of the
only like star on that team too. That's
100%.
I think the other part. Now 100%. Kawhi's back now, but not really for the whole season, you know.
I mean, he missed. Kawhi came back and then missed a little bit of time, very brief, because of the whole wildfire situation. So he wasn't even there for even a little bit of that part. But the hand wringing, and this is where it gets frustrating because I have to toe the line of being a fan and using reason. It gets a little frustrating, like when fans are like, oh, Booker was better because his statistics are a little bit better, or they do the thing that's really easy to get likes with other fanboys and they put the head-to-head screenshot of the two player stats.
Yeah.
For freaking years, we asked for Booker to get more respect because maybe his statistics weren't as good, but his teams were winning. And now Suns fans want him in and they're not winning. Like, it is a complete catch-22 situation where, like, yes, I think right now Booker's the better player. Not even I think. I still think Booker's better than Harden as of right now. But team success should matter. And it goes for the Jalen Williams thing. Booker's better than Jalen Williams. Like, for now, Jalen is still incredibly young. But the Thunder are the 1 seed. They get to have 2.
That one
they
to
get
me
to
was
have
a lock.
2.
Like, I know that that's going to be the place people, a lot of, I think, Suns fans go who maybe just don't care, aren't paying attention to other teams, just sort of want to make the case for Book. And I get that. I understand. But I think that as long as Jalen Williams stayed healthy and continued on the track that he was, that team is far and away the best team in the West. And he is a two-way guy. He is proven himself as a scorer. Like, I can't really poke a hole in that one either. Same really for Şengün. He's kind of a combination of both, where Harden is the only great star player on a really good team. I guess the Clippers aren't a really good team, but the Rockets are, and Şengün's kind of the only dude that really would have been in consideration. So he kind of makes that's another really good team. You can't really say they shouldn't have an all-star.
It's why LaMelo's not in.
Yeah. Every single guy here, Ben, is either fits that category where they're the best player on a team that is close to or better than the Suns, or it's Anthony Davis. And they're even close, right? Like, so, and then I guess you could say Victor Wembanyama would be another one that maybe shouldn't have made it, but then he's a front court player. He made it as a front court, not a wild card, so Book couldn't even replace him. So I just think that it sucks, but it's kind of the reality. Let me just read it off really quick because we didn't actually say Booker's stats. 26, 7, and 4 this season. Downtick in field goal percentage and three-point percentage, I think, is one of the big things that held him back. That means that for the season, his true shooting is 58, which is just above average versus the 60-plus area that he had kind of been in the past 2 years. And then, of course, the Suns' record, just above 500. His defense has suffered. What's crazy, though, is I don't know if people realize this, but this is almost always true. EPM is kind of the catch-all stat that's the most en vogue right now. It's not like BPM or PER or any of that anymore. It's on this website called Dunks and Threes. Booker in offensive EPM, he is 7th in the entire NBA this season. Ahead of Giannis, Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, Joel Embiid, Tyler Hero, Jason Tatum. Like, that's the case, is that when he's on the court, the Suns' offense hits another gear. But that is only a case you can make when your team's really good. Otherwise, you're just going to be judged on your raw numbers, and he just didn't have them, I think.
Not to mention, Booker also missed not a ton of games. Oh, wait, no. Booker played all year.
He's missed a handful, but not a lot.
I don't know why I got tongue-tied there. Okay, whatever. Booker missed a couple of games,
They've
too.
played 46 games. He's played 41.
41.
So he's missed 5 games.
He missed 5 games as well. I don't know why there I got him, because there was a point
because you're used to him missing some time.
Well, it was just Beal. It was just
this point.
Well, it was just Beal and Durant that had missed games, and then it was up until like the game 22 where Booker finally missed a game. So that's why I got mistaken.
Like the first month straight, but he did miss a couple with the hamstring thing, like always.
Yeah, it was some soft tissue injury. I think it was a calf. Let me just say this really quickly, and then we can move on. This might be the best thing to happen to the Suns, especially for Devin Booker, who hasn't been super good all year long. He's kind of played really well against that really bad stretch, and I do think Booker is now back to being a very good offensive player. I think, do you remember when Devin Booker missed the All-Star game a couple of years ago, and he had back-to-back 50-point games? If I'm not mistaken, he had 3 50-point games in a row or something ridiculous. He went nuclear because Devin Booker felt the disrespect. I think this is the fire that could be lit underneath Devin Booker's ass. That's not just, hey, you are not seen as an all-star in the NBA anymore, even though you and I think he's still better than some of these players. That is the type of thing that I think can shake Booker a little bit into kind of going back to that little bit of assassin mode, which is why I don't think this is the worst thing in the world for him to ponder all-star break while everyone else is mingling and having fun and Anthony Davis is getting in good with Kevin Durant, that he has to sit around and noodle that he isn't seen to his players and the coaches as an elite basketball player, even though we think he is. And I think that is perfect. And you combine that with the potential Jimmy Butler trade, that is a team with some attitude, and that is some team with some fire that you and I have been itching to see. And I hope this is the thing that lights that under it.
He has already, like you said, kicked it into another gear. Let's hope that continues. Trade season also cooking into another gear, and the Suns' pursuit of maybe not Jimmy Butler is starting to make the rounds in the rumor mill. We'll talk about the latest between Nurkic and the Suns and some other teams we're starting to hear next. First, today's show is brought to you by TurboTax. Taxes used to be waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back, guaranteed. So no more waiting, wondering, and worries. Now this is taxes. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. All right, Ben, let's keep it rolling here. Reminder for our lovely audience to sign up for the Locked On Suns daily newsletter at LockedOnDaily.com. Free for you. Latest Suns news, latest episodes of this show, some analysis, some NBA talk, some fantasy advice, and it supports us big time. All right, let's get into it. Dwayne Rankin on Thursday morning, Ben, had the report that the Suns have talked to teams throughout the league. Not a surprise there about Jusuf Nurkic, but the more specific part of the report was that the Atlanta Hawks were one of those teams. Now, Dwayne just, I think, sort of, doing some deduction and looking at the Hawks cap sheet, knowing that the Suns can't take more money back than they send out and all the rules we know that they're in place with because of that second apron, mentioned Bogdanovic. Not source. Dwayne did not say they're going to go trade for Bogdanovic, but he just mentioned him in the article. Obviously, the Suns drafted him once upon a time, traded him for Marquise Chris, but that didn't make a lot of sense to a lot of fans. And Gerald Bourguet spoke to us and reason and logic and said the Suns are not interested in Bogdanovic. So that doesn't leave the Suns a lot of options, Ben. But what do you think of Atlanta as a fit? Are you excited? Does this make sense? What do you think?
I'm excited to get rid of Jusuf Nurkic. It was funny. I was texting you today, and I was like, Bogdanovic. I sent you the article while I was stuck in traffic, so I wasn't actively looking through contracts. And it was to the point where you were like, do you want me to look up the contracts for you? Because I'm also working. And I texted you, well, the bigs on here, Dyson Daniels or Larry Nance, whatever, and you had mentioned to me, those guys aren't bigs. And I said, our team is so tiny, Brendon, that 6'7" and 6'8" is bigs. The only guys that make sense.
Nance is a big. Daniels is not a big,
He's
but
6'8".
Daniels is not an option.
6'7". Okay, Dyson Daniels. Well, I mean, that's the guy that I liked the most out of it. But he's 6'7". He's same size Jimmy Butler, and he plays the wing position. So I wouldn't mind bringing him in. But it's going to be Nurkic.
He was the centerpiece of what they just sent out for DeJounte Murray. So he's not going to be on the table here.
Never say never. Nurkic and
I'll tell you.
Then these.
Let me tell you what Brad Rowland said of Locked On Hawks. I texted him a little bit today. Okay.
Ooh.
I said, who would the Hawks actually give up in a Nurk plus a first deal? Is it just Bogdan or Nance? And he said, it can't be Capella with the Suns apron situation, which we all know. Yeah. We've talked about that before. That ship sailed when Ayton went to Portland. And I said, can't do Hunter either. DeAndre Hunter, not an option for the same reason. Makes too much money.
And he's actually good.
Yeah. And so I think he could have actually been an option because I think the Hawks have been kind of trying to move him, but he makes
fine,
so it doesn't matter. So I brought up Larry Nance, and actually, let me get there in a second. I said, would they give up a Kongwu? He said, highly doubt it. Highly doubt it, he said. Mm-hmm. All right. Young, 24, good contract, probably their center of the future. They're in this weird spot where they're kind of trying to retool, but they're not really tanking. They're still trying to win. They have Trae Young, so a Kongwu's just, I think, too valuable to them. I said, Daniels, he said that won't be happening. All right, so no to Dyson Daniels. I mean, we watched Dyson Daniels up close a couple weeks ago. That dude is one of the absolute best perimeter defenders in the entire NBA. You don't give him up for Jusuf Nurkic in a bad first-round pick. Here's the interesting thing, though, because that basically brings us to Larry Nance. Like, that's sort of just it, honestly, already. When you go through all those names, it's kind of where you end up. Brad brought up an interesting thing, Ben, which is that if the Suns just took back Nance and the Hawks got Jusuf Nurkic, there's a weird wrinkle that I actually was glad I texted him because I wouldn't have noticed it. The Hawks are $1 million from being in the luxury tax. So they're not going to take back more than $1 million more than what they're sending out and end up in the luxury tax. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff that can happen. But in general, something like Nurk for Nance straight up, where they're adding like $7-8 million of salary, they're not going to want to do that. So that makes it a little bit more complicated. You're probably talking about adding some of the younger random minimum guys in there to make it a little more interesting. But just as a general structure, assuming the money could work out once they started to actually negotiate, do you like Nance?
More than Nurkic. I mean, I like Nance. He's an energy guy. He's older than you think. I mean, it feels like he was 20 years old 2 years ago. A big, lengthy guy who's averaging, I think it was 9 points a game. Yeah, he's older than you think. I mean, you could have convinced me that dude was 28 because it just feels like he hasn't been in the league that long.
I think he played with Kobe.
Yeah, he did.
Crazy.
Yeah. It would be kind of cool to see Larry Nance come to Phoenix because his dad obviously played for the Phoenix Suns at one point too. Yes. Yeah. Great. I just don't know. I hope that's not the move. Like, I hope that's not the like, let's say Butler doesn't happen. I don't even know. Like, I know this is stupid, Brendon, but like, I'd rather just keep the pick then. Like, I like Nance, but if you're not following this up with then another move, and what would that be? Like, who you going to trade? It would have to be Allen. So I'm sure. Yes. Better than Nurk, immediately in the rotation. I don't know if it really does anything. I hope that there's potentially something else out there.
So 6'8", kind of like a small ball center, sometimes can play the 4. You could maybe play him next to Richards, but probably not. He's upped his 3-point frequency, or his 3-point, his attempts over the past like 5 years, basically since he got to playing with LeBron in Cleveland. Kind of turned himself into a passable 3-point shooter. He's a smart playmaker. You could easily see him being a short roll passer, the way that the Suns have liked to use their bigs with Nurkic and Plumlee, catching the ball on the roll and spitting it back out to a shooter. He can do that really well. Defensively, he's like Oso defensively, probably more of a switch guy rather than somebody who's just going to be barricading the rim. That's not really, what he's going to be out there to do. He's been a name I've probably said on this podcast like 100 times over the past like 10 years, frankly, for the Suns, because I just think he really fits with how Monty wanted to play, and then this current iteration of the roster. I think it'd be good. I agree with you. I don't think it quite is going to get the job done where I'm going to be psyched out of my mind on deadline day if we do a podcast and saying this changes everything. But he'd also be like a Royce O'Neal in the fact that you're getting him heading into free agency, and maybe you actually could give him a pay cut, but keep him longer and make something work. I know Royce didn't get a pay cut, but he barely got a raise at all. That could be nice to just lock in a rotation dude that's harder to come by given the Suns' constraints with their cap and everything. That would appeal. But yeah, I think I'm on your side where I say if it's not a domino including another move, I'm probably a little iffy on it. Let me go ahead.
I just wanted to say, but it sounds like you're going to go where that place as well. I do also. I was literally going to say as well. It basically just be the Royce O'Neal thing where last year, like, it's like, oh, cool, we got Royce.
And maybe he's on the team for the next 4 years after that. Because why not?
How likely do you think this would happen? Nurkic for Nance. I think that's what we're going to. It's the only one that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it could easily happen. What I was going to say is I've put together a list of non-Jimmy Butler trade targets, and
I saw that.
If you're talking about Nurk, I put this out on Twitter. If you're talking about Nurk, you're probably looking at these names: Patrick Williams, Larry Nance, Robert Williams, Denny Avdija, and Matisse Thybulle. And I don't think Avdija is super likely.
I can't believe you threw Thybulle in there. When I saw that, I almost got upset.
He's hurt, so I think that's also one of the ones that's not a great option because he's been hurt all year for Portland. I don't even know what the injury is, but he basically hasn't played this season, so I don't even know if he would. I kind of think Nance and Time Lord are the two favorites of that, and I like Time Lord better, but if you can't get him, Nance it's not terrible. And again, the biggest part of all of this is you don't have Nurk on your team anymore. That's also a really big element of this.
Yeah, no, he's not terrible. That's not what we're saying. It's just, it's going to be really hard to go from Jimmy Butler, where a week ago you and I were like, yeah, this is 100% happening, to Larry Nance Jr. It just would be a perfect bow on the Phoenix Suns season. Like, it's just be exactly, we thought it was doing this, start of the season, start of the Jimmy Butler rumors, and then it did this. So it's
like going from Miles Bridges to Royce O'Neal, like we did last year.
Well, that one was interesting because he's a terrible human being. So it was kind of like, I'm good.
Well, yes, of course.
But
that difference
as a player,
right
yes.
There.
As a player, yes.
Okay, let's close out talking about a different element of the big man rotation. The Suns playing for Oso Ighodaro. What is it? What should it be? Next. First, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with the FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss. I think you can even do like the length of the national anthem. FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. Let's check out how to get the bonus bets in your pocket, well, in your app pocket, before the big game so that you can have some fun and not have to worry about sweating the win by the time you get there. That means, of course, the world of college basketball, where on, let's see, what are we looking at? Friday night, where are our big favorites? Ooh, there's not as many. Quinnipiac? That is where actually my friend is going to, he's getting his doctorate. He's going to be a doctor. Minus 780 hosting Fairfield. Purdue, minus 850 hosting Indiana. Those are your two big favorites for Friday night. Get those in, get your bonus bets, and enjoy. Download the app, head to FanDuel.com. Get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. That's $200 in bonus bets with a $5 win, all at FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, an official partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, Ben, let's close it out here as I get the wonderful folks at FanDuel off the screen. We were talking about this a little bit yesterday, and I wanted to just follow up on it because I think it's an interesting conversation. The Suns finally have rookies that we care about. They finally have rookies that are promising. And at the same time, this is the first year of having a G League team in a very long time. So this is uncharted territory. We have literally not been able to have this conversation as Suns fans and followers for years and years. But here we are. And on I believe Tuesday night, Oso played in a Valley Suns game. He had like 18, 10, and 5 or something like that. And then they activated him again for the game on Wednesday night. And he was technically
18
active,
points, 18 rebounds, I thought.
Okay, great.
Sorry, I was muted when I was trying to talk.
Oh,
so
no, it's
that
fine.
was kind of funny.
And then he was active for the game on Wednesday night that the Suns lost to Minnesota. So my guess would be that how they're going to handle this is that they'll just try to keep him in Phoenix as much as possible, right? So if the Valley Suns are playing home games, great. He'll be there. If the Suns have a home game, he'll be there. And then if both teams are out of town, my guess is he would just stay with the NBA team. I don't know. That's how most teams kind of handle this. So the Suns are going on a 4-game road trip right here coming up. But you were seeming a little skeptical that this was going to be in Oso's best interest. Are you still? You sat on it for 24 hours. What do you think?
No, I still listen. I'm basically going back to my rookie season of what it was like to have a G League team. It was like 6 years ago. They had the Northern Arizona Suns, which I still think was awesome to be able to have that up there. But
did you ever go?
No, I never. I just thought it was cool. I just thought it was cool for the people of Northern Arizona to have that if they wanted to go. But I thought, until Sarver's cheap ass sold it somewhere else. But anyways, I just feel like, aside from the reasons that I said last night, which is I don't think Mason Plumlee is that much better than Oso Ighodaro. And I just think Ty goes to the younger guy. And with the way the Suns season is going, I just would love for him to get the reps that Mason Plumlee is getting right now. And it just rubs me the wrong way. You painted a nice picture of it. And I think it is totally fair where when the G League Suns are home, he'll play for them. That sounds great. It just rubs me the wrong way that you would send a player who, in my opinion, has shot past every single one of my expectations for him and said, yeah, go to the G League. There's just a bad like notion to sending someone to the G League. And I just don't.
Is there? Why?
In my opinion, hey, listen, I haven't had a G League team in 6 years. Like, I don't really remember.
Yeah, but isn't the point to use it? So it can't be bad if you're going out of your way to invest in it.
I know, man, but
I
I can name on my hand how many people are G League success. It's not really a farm system that is works.
Yeah, but that's in the context of like dudes who came out of nowhere from the random schools I list off every night to get you your FanDuel bonus bets that end up going through the G League and then somehow becoming awesome. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about he's not getting reps in the NBA, and if you believe that playing basketball makes you better at basketball, then give him the opportunity to play more basketball. That's all it is. It's not like they're thinking his best, like it's best for him to overdo it in Temp B all the time. It's just if he's not playing, then let's go let him play. And I think that's exactly what the G League should be for.
So my thing to say is I don't think Oso is going to get exceptionally better playing more minutes in the G League. I am what you would call a hooper. Now, a hooper to the loosest extent because I'm not in the NBA. But the only way I'm going to get better is if I'm playing against guys roughly my age that play as much as I do, which is fairly often. Am I going to get better playing against freshmen at my local high school? No. I don't think Oso is going to get better playing against guys that will be plumbers in 6 months. He's going to get 18.
You're underselling the G League a lot. I think that there are a lot of players in the G League right now who are better than Oso Ighodaro. The G League, if you listen to draft people, the G League is one of the best leagues in the entire world. It's just the difference between it and the NBA is very substantial. But you're talking about the best players who we watch in March every year who aren't one of the, 450 who happen to be good enough to make the NBA. A lot of them are there or in the Euro League, which is the other top league that people will talk about, or Australia. There's another one. But the G League is kind of in the top 5 in the whole world. So if you're telling me Oso can go play in a top 5 league in the whole world, especially when you think that the things that he's bad at are, or not bad at, the things that he needs to develop are physicality, strength, adjusting to the pro speed of the game. He said the other night when he was asked about it, he's like, I've never played drop coverage in the pick and roll because I was so fast and nimble and athletic my whole life that my coaches just had me switch everything. So I would just, a pick would come. I'm just going to go guard the point guard. So if you're talking about those kinds of things, I think that getting Oso reps against 30-year-old dudes who are real men and pros, I think he definitely will get better. And I think if you're not going to do it with him, then what are you even having the team for outside of the PR hit from Ishbia getting to say he did it?
For guys like Gillespie and the kid from Bridges, guys like that.
You think Gillespie is significantly worse than Oso?
No, but I don't. So
why is it okay with him?
Yes. Wait. No, I do. I don't think Colin Gillespie is in the same tier as Oso Ighodaro. No,
I think they're pretty close as players. I think we're just thinking of this because we happened to see Oso get drafted 40th 6 months ago.
And
but that's not proof that he's awesome. He needs to get better.
No. And I think when you said as well, there's a lot of guys in the G League that are better than Oso. Reed Shepherd, I guess, would quantify as that person.
Example. Why is he there?
Because
he's small and guys
been mostly
get
disappointing.
Better. Well, he hasn't played in the NBA.
Well, I think Reed Shepherd is
because they're winning 40 out of their first 50 games or whatever. They got to
if
find
Ryan
somewhere
Dunn
to give
got sent. If Ryan Dunn, because Ryan Dunn at the beginning of the season wasn't playing a ton, Bud wasn't how would you feel if Ryan Dunn got sent to the G League? I would not feel good about it.
If he was at the spot in the rotation that Oso is, and we had kind of seen enough to feel like that's where he maybe should be in the rotation, then I would think same thing. I just I want these guys to play. Dunn has proven that he's good enough to be not only playing but starting for this team, so I have no issue with it. But Oso hasn't, so I think he should go down to the G League and play there.
So just to be fair, I also think Oso should be playing. I just think he should be playing over Mason Plumlee. But
yeah, no,
I think
true.
also
that was
I
your
just
first
have
point, and I didn't respond to that one. I mean, I just think it's all about
you
rebounding.
did last
That's kind
night.
of what I said last night. I think that it really comes down to that. The Suns bleed rebounds, and Bud wants somebody who's just bigger and stronger. I really think it might be that simple.
So what are the contingencies to us doing a show tomorrow? Kevin Durant has to score 70. Is that what we decided?
I think I said, did I say 70? Yeah, I think I said 70.
Also,
I was going to say
people-
50, and then I got a little scared, so I'll say
Also,
70.
I don't know if you saw some of the comments in the comment section. I love to scour those. I love to talk with people, the everydayers. You need to bring back the footprint center. What was it, like vibe check or whatever you had said? People seem
Footprint
to
Center report, I think. Is what
footprint center report. People, it seemed like some of the people liked that. I liked that.
Okay,
That's
good.
something that needs to come back. That was very.
So the next team to come through with a very, 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 very famous owner, we'll definitely make sure to hit on that whole dispatch. All right, that'll wrap us up, guys. Hit follow, subscribe if you haven't already. Become one of those everydayers and make fun of us in the comments like they do. Enjoy your weekend. Let's hope we do see that Suns win on ESPN against the Golden State Warriors on Friday night, and we'll catch you next week.